So welcome to those who have joined us so far. Hopefully you are here for our Getting Started with SEO or Search Engine Optimization webinar. If that's what you're here for, you're in the right place. So just before we get started, I'd like to do an acknowledgement of country. So we'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we work, live and meet today. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging, and we celebrate the stories, culture and traditions of all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities who also work and live on this land. So for anyone who hasn't been to one of our webinars or events before, I just would like to do a quick introduction to Business South. So Business South exists under the federal government funded Entrepreneurship Facilitator Program. So your entrepreneurship facilitators for Southern Tasmania are myself, Makala, and Sharon Harvey, my colleague. And basically we exist to help people start and run small businesses. So we talk to people who are right at the idea stage. So they're thinking about maybe starting a business, right through into people that have been in business for a couple of years, so up to 2 years. We do also have the ability to assist with people who have been going for longer than that, but who are in a bit of a crisis. So if they're having a bit of difficulty maintaining profitability, we can also help those people. And we mainly do that through limited one-on-one consultations, but through a lot of networking events, workshops and community events, and of course webinars like today. And all our services are provided free of charge. So we're going to have a presentation today by Nick Sutherland, and Nick is a web designer and owner of My WP Mate. So Nick's a self-proclaimed jack of all digital trades with a 15-year career encompassing design, project management, business administration and marketing. And now in his own business, he steps beyond the role of website designer to offer strategic insight, marketing know-how and multimedia design prowess, drawing upon his diverse range of experience and 5 years of working overseas. And I'd also like to add that Nick is the one who's actually responsible for our recent Business South website design and rebuild. And the last thing I wanted to mention before I hand over to Nick is that if you have any questions, please enter them in the question and answer box as you think of them. And then at the end, I'm going to jump in there and ask the questions of Nick. So we'll get those answered for you. Alrighty, so Nick, I will stop sharing. And if you would like to get your presentation up and happening.
Great, thanks, Makala. Hopefully you can see my opening slide now. Excellent, looks like I'm in charge. Well, yeah, thank you very much for the introduction, and it was great to hear that little spiel and reflect on, yeah, what's brought us to this point today. And yeah, it has been a bit of a journey. One of those guys is actually me there, holding little fella in my arms, Tommy. He's just a little bit bigger now, but it's my little man, and you might hear him crying in the background shortly. I am at home in the home office. I'm essentially a sole trader with a small business. And the other guy there, I guess, is kind of, a vision of what I wanted to become when I started out as a web designer and started my own business. And he's just a stock image that I've used for my branding for many years. We'll talk more about stock images later on, but yeah, it's true. I'm a lifelong computer user and specifically Mac. I've been into design and I've been a designer essentially since high school. I started as a landscape architect and a project manager. Most of my career has really been in the construction industry. But yeah, I got very interested in startups whilst doing my MBA in 2017, and and new business ventures became a focus of my studies. Yeah, I really personally started to explore web design and marketing as a side hustle while sort of looking at the MBA. And then around 2020, I jumped into self-employment and started running my own business full time. Yeah, today we're going to look at the criteria that Google uses to rank our websites in the search results and the web design techniques that really allow us to achieve search engine optimization, or SEO. So there's two sides to that. There's, you know, some sort of criteria that we look at and some really simple stuff. But there's also the web design side of optimization and making sure our page is really set up well. And we'll also answer the age-old question of why web design is like fishing. So if you're into fishing, if you're not, I'm not really into fishing, but you might find there's a little bit of interest there as we get going. So hopefully this is working. For most of us, the website is really the tip of the spear for our marketing efforts. It really represents us and leads us out in the community and shows off our brand and our products. A website literally never sleeps. It's always running. And that's what makes it one of our hardest working assets, or maybe even our hardest working employee. So a great website really shows customers that the lights are on, that we're active, and that we're open for business. But what does your website really say about you? We are active. We are real. We are local. We are amazing. Or maybe our website is a little cheap and nasty. It's not that authentic. Maybe it sort of shows that we are backyard operators. I don't know. If you joined us today, you might fall into one of those categories, or you might also be like an established business that finds all of its customers through word of mouth. And that, of course, is very common in Tasmania, where reputation is everything. However, I'm starting to hear customers kind of ask the question, will word of mouth or reputation be enough to get me through tough times? So we often like to start our conversation with a question like, do you need more customers? And if the answer is yes, then it's likely that your search rankings could be quite a lot better. So it might actually surprise you to know that a new website is a lot like this empty highway. It really needs to be connected to various traffic sources. Otherwise, the traffic will remain very, very low. So traffic sources are things like search engine, of course, and it can be other things like your social media channels and bringing people in through good posting. It could be things like email marketing through your subscriber list and things like advertising, of course. But, you know, let's have a look at SEO today. And it is, you know, a bit of a complicated subject. Fortunately, there is a criteria that must be met. One of the largest factors is good web design itself. And what I mean by that is the design has to be fairly efficient, has to be correct. There shouldn't be like too many elements on a page, but of course the right amount of information. And all of this results in like a very fast loading website. So if our website is too clunky, then, you know, we could be in a bit of strife, causing us to derank. So speed is quite important. But SEO isn't everything. So today we're going to have a look at the fundamentals of selling online. These are things like understanding our business model, knowing our audience, selling online, creating a call to action, and holding the attention of our website viewers. So once we get through that, we'll delve into the more technical areas of good web design and SEO best practice. And armed with this knowledge, we'll leave you with our web design and SEO checklist, which you can take away and use to look at your position in the search engine and see if you can raise that position or maybe appear in some totally new places. And this can lead to a dramatic improvement in your website traffic. Let's jump straight in and talk about your business. You'll be surprised to know how many businesses don't really know their business that well. And maybe well enough to like write a brochure or like a presentation or a sales pitch. And this is especially true for startups and new businesses. Questions like, what do we do? Who are our core customers? Where do our customers live? And where does our core profit come from? These are the critical elements that can lead towards profit and the foundations. They're the foundations of everything we do. So yeah, if you haven't nailed this down, Business South are here to help guide you through this. And really knowing our business can inform our approach to SEO and web design, especially when it comes to two factors: our audience or our customers, and our location or our geography. So we're looking at Pure Pilates in Kingston. Live longer, look younger, feel great. So what can we determine here? They're a Pilates business. They're based in Kingston. They're perhaps targeting like an over 40s clientele. They're in the exercise and movement space. And we can see that their core business is Pilates and one-on-one health coaching. A great website will also nail the sales pitch and make it very clear what we sell to our customers and how we sell it. Are we selling memberships? Is it hourly services or consulting services? Or do we have a blog with products and advertising? Or are we selling online and perhaps at a bricks and mortar shop, for example? Or both, which is the case with Tassie icon Jimmy's Skate and Street. In most cases, what we sell and the way we sell it will directly determine our primary goal for the website. The way we sell and what we're selling really shapes the way a website will be structured and how we'll really pitch to our customers. We often call this a funnel, and the website really is a funnel that brings customers in and shows them our world and brings them down towards the cash register. We're really hoping to convert them from, interested to becoming a customer and hopefully a repeat customer. So how do we sell online? If we're selling a membership, we want them to sign up now. If we're selling an hourly service, we'd like you to make a booking. If we have a consulting business, then perhaps we're going to request a free consultation and bring you in this way. If you have a blog with some products and advertising, it'll be something like joining our mailing list so we can hit you up afterwards. Maybe you're just selling products online and it's the add to cart button, or even better, we've got buy it now. So please don't underestimate the importance of your business model when creating your next website or when looking at your website with critical eyes. And just like that elevator pitch that you use when you're talking to a new client or an investor, your website should be really on point and aligned with your current way of doing things. We should really zero in on our core audience and focus on those highest profit generators first. And really, thinking about this and improving our online selling process can play a huge role in transforming a struggling business, especially if that website is really muddled up and if it's really unclear how to come in and create an action. So all websites, they really need an action so that we can make that conversion to bring a customer from being a stranger or a viewer into becoming a customer. Yeah, so in today's, fast-paced world of technology and continuous scrolling and social media, there's this information overload, like it really weighs on us. And essentially, attention has become our currency in business. Attention spans are shorter than ever. Maybe you've already tuned out, I don't know. For the record, my attention span is very, very small. So, I might have already left this webinar if I were you, but, stick with me, because our call to action is extremely important when trying to grab and hold the attention of a potential customer. They've actually made it into our website, so we really need to engage with them. A call to action should really capture attention. It should really help a customer identify that they have arrived at the right place. It should show customers exactly what we do. And it should also, give a bit of confidence that we can solve your problem. You are in the right place. Granton Plants are Tasmania's wholesale plant nursery that's open to the public 7 days a week. So what can we determine here? They are a plant nursery. They're in Granton, that's southern Tasmania, if anyone's joining from elsewhere. They have cheaper prices because they're a wholesale. They're open every day. That's great. We can get there on the weekend. We can get there during the week. They're open to everybody, so both public and business. In this case, their call to action is pretty factual, and they're really just trying to break through and let people know they're there, that they're not just servicing business customers, but anyone can come there and save money on bulk plants. The call to action and the primary goal of our website really is to inspire an action from our viewers. So even if I've got your attention just for a split second, 80% of our website viewers don't actually scroll below that first screen. They don't actually scroll below the fold. Within a heartbeat, just by looking at your website, our visitors can determine if they are in the right place, or if they'll hit that back button and continue looking for a business with a better fit. This places so much importance on that arrival sequence and the call to action on the homepage of your website, and really knowing how we're going to sell, how we're going to pull that customer into our world. We really want them to know they've found the right business. But once they've found us, what do they do next? So after our call to action, we really need some kind of action, or we need to inspire action. That could be booking that appointment. It could be contacting us for a quote. It might be as simple as call now for 24-hour emergency hot water system, or it might be adding to cart. Sometimes it might be even better, buy now. CrossFit 42 South, get fit, have fun, make friends. Start here and book your free trial session. This call to action is a little bit different to the plant nursery. This one has a little bit of a slogan in it, similar to the Pilates. It's sort of encompassing why you would choose us. What will you get? What is the solution that we solve for your problem? You'll get fit, you'll have fun. You might even make a whole heap of friends. I mean, are you ready to book your free trial session? But this 80% rule could be a little bit deceptive. You might be sort of asking, and people always ask this, why do I need a whole website if 80% of my people don't even go past that first arrival sequence? Most of our customers, most of our leads, our viewers, they really still require convincing at this point. They'll still have questions. They've come to the right place, but they probably want to know who's behind this business. Are the product features right for me? How about the price, especially if we're selling? Thus, it's really important that our website provides that complete picture for customers and a really intuitive sales experience that holds their attention, that brings them down into our world through the funnel and answers their questions. And it really should convince them to choose us with all these factors contributing together. So we often have these very similar parts after the arrival sequence. It's things like our value proposition or our point of difference. Why would you choose us over our competition? It's things like having real images of us and our team, and real images of our products being used or out in nature. A lot of websites are using video storytelling. Of course, it's a fantastic way to share information, where an image, says 1,000 words. A video really tells the whole story. And of course, we should be real and authentic. We're trying to avoid those stock items and really show inside our business. And this really gives an insight into who we are and demonstrates things like, we are local, for example. And as we bring our viewers through the website into the funnel, there must be other points of action. These are often known as buttons, so that our viewers know how to act the moment they're convinced of our sales pitch. There's a button floating around that allows them to make that sale, to book now, to join up, to buy their membership. And just as a side note, there is this criteria for SEO that we're going to look at. And therefore, we actually need to have content on our pages. So this is why you don't see many websites that are simply like a landing experience or like that top area. We really need to meet the criteria. And this means, having some content, really telling our story, having some images. More and more, you might also notice subtle influence tactics that affect even your purchasing decisions. So even if you're fully switched on, you can, spot a fake, or you're not going to buy anything today. There are lots of subtle techniques that marketers are using to really influence you and pull you in to the funnel and down to the cash register. These are things like reviews and testimonials. And, they absolutely have to be verified from like an independent source that we can trace that back to the original person. They're things like client or supplier logos that show our partnerships in the community or our accreditations. And it can also be things like influential copywriting, things that really gently nudge us down into the spider's web. We are a trusted supplier of. Join the thousands of Tasmanians who have already. We are top rated in Launceston. Without knowing it, many of these simple influence tactics help us to establish a level of trust very quickly. They can be a little bit cheeky, but they can also demonstrate real credibility for someone who has never met your business before. Diesel and Dust Off-Road are the trusted suppliers of Australia's leading off-road and 4x4 products. And this is what our customers are saying about us. 5 stars from over 25 reviews. So after establishing the objectives of our website, crafting our funnel, and really developing our actions, I think we're ready to zoom in on SEO. Typically, most of my customers have nailed this down by the time they get to me. However, after helping over 100 businesses in the last 3 years or so, it's common for me to help tweak the business model and the sales pitch to really clarify that during the web design process and make sure it's very understandable for all range of customers. But if I am speaking a foreign language here, I'd really encourage you to reach out to Business South, who will be able to help you, or help you find the local self-employment services network in your area if you're not from the south of Tasmania. So let me just say, it can actually be okay to ignore SEO. Even though you've come all this way, you might have a big network. You might be having no trouble finding customers. Your website probably will serve a different purpose than those of us who really need more customers. So for this reason, many tradies or many bespoke professionals only have one single page, so that, they're visible online and their customers can find them, but they're not really actively looking to grow. However, if you need more customers, a website with multiple pages, website with a blog or a project gallery can be important to really increasing your visibility in the search results. That's because more pages are kind of like more hooks in the water. And optimized pages with well-written content are like the correct fishing lure with the right bait on the perfect change of tide in that really good fishing spot that you've nailed in the GPS. However, unfortunately, with SEO, we've found that, the spattergun method of really just piling all your search words onto one page really doesn't work anymore. Google's criteria has got a lot more intricate, and it's really de-ranking people that overdo it with this old school approach. So, a great place to start with your website project is to actually use the search engine to inform your decision making. So, a little secret, by typing into Google, we can actually determine the most commonly searched phrases in your area and confirm these to our own ideas. So what this means is that the suggestions we see here are actually the most commonly searched phrases for this subject matter in our area. Google is actually revealing a few secrets. So if we look for a personal trainer, the top few choices are personal trainer Hobart, personal trainer near me, personal trainer course, personal trainer Devonport. How do I start a business? How do I start a business in Australia? How do I start a business Facebook page? How do I start a business with no money? If we already have a website, then we can explore our marketplace and really start to understand our current position. We can chart our current position in the search results, and then we can come back and measure that later once we've made some improvements. And we can also look into our competitors' websites and see what phrases are really evident on their page. And then we can check back using those search phrases in the Google search engine and see what comes up, see where we are positioned in the search results. And then by listing all of these phrases as our most important phrases, we can really start our website process with the end in mind, and we can use these phrases as the subject matter for our most important pages. So we're sort of coming full circle here, that we can actually write the content in a way that's really targeting these phrases that Google is suggesting are the most important for our marketplace. I really like to call this content first creation, or something like content first creation with SEO in mind. So by mapping out all of those important search phrases, we can really start to produce heat-seeking content that's really correctly hooked, baited, and positioned ready to strike. So this can be, a bit easier for someone that's selling products like solar panels and battery storage, as we see here, because the subject matter is already quite specific to what people are going to be searching. However, content first creation with SEO in mind can really work for any business, and it can help us uncover the most popular phrases in our area and help us remove any guesswork, help us remove that big list of irrelevant search phrases that actually aren't being targeted by our customers. Whew. All right, so we have our search phrases. We've considered our page structure, and we know what's going to be most important for us. So you could say we're finally ready to start writing our content and start engaging with our audience, right? We know the spattergun of keywords, throwing heaps of words on a page doesn't work. And really big slabs of generic text, they're not going to do the job either. And of course, being more of a brand and marketing kind of guy, and especially in our smaller marketplace where everybody kind of knows one another, I truly believe that authentic copywriting and real images will resonate with customers, because it's really becoming easier and easier to spot fake websites. All right, that's my little rant over. So when copywriting, it is important to start with SEO in mind, but we don't want to be too bland. Great copywriting and storytelling has an amazing power when it comes to pulling customers into our website and making that conversion. And a couple of factors in this are people. People will really buy into your story and actions. Using very personal language with action-based words, we can seduce customers like deeper and deeper into our world. So we've worked so hard to get the attention of viewers and bring them into our website. It's critical that we hold their attention. We want to bring them in and we want to close them for that sale. We want to bring them straight in and right down to the cash register where we're ready to convert them. But you know, how many websites have you visited that lead off like this? We here, the Derwent Valley Human Resources Co., were first established in 1959 under the wonderful leadership of old Mrs. So-and-so back in the era of the newspaper. Oh my God, it's so boring. By adding human resources expertise to your team, we'll help manage your growing pains and ensure you're surrounded by great people who are working towards the same mission. A good website should really engage with our audience. It should talk directly to the customer's need, and we should talk about ourselves second. This is a brilliant concept that I've been researching, and it's called flipping the script. We talk directly to our customer's need first. We talk directly to our customer, and we resist the temptation to talk about us in that traditional and factual way until a lot later in the page. Okay, that is a lot to take in. And I am conscious that I'm just nattering away here without any real feedback from the audience, but we are now ready to start talking about SEO. Trust me, this part of the selling is so important. We want to start our project with SEO in mind, and we can use Google to really tell us what those important phrases are. We sort of know how to attack the structure of our website, depending if we need customers or if we're trying to put more hooks in the water by targeting those various phrases or the various products that we sell. And well-crafted copywriting really plays a large role in holding the attention of our customers. We've just pulled them away from mindless scrolling. We need to engage with them. And it's through storytelling, it's through real people stories, through real images, and using that action and solution-based language that we can really stand above the fakes and stand above those boring old competitors. It is tempting to write about us and we do this and we do that and we. Take this as a challenge. See how many paragraphs on your website start with me, I, or we. Let's flip the script and talk directly to the customer and their need first, and then talk about us a little bit further down. I think we are ready for the nitty-gritty of search engine optimization, the actual technical side of page optimization that's really needed to meet that criteria that Google set out for us. And if this is what you're here for today, my apologies. It's taken us a few minutes to get here. We've been on a bit of a journey. We're coming towards the important stuff. So search previews, these are the top level and the most important thing that, you know, a lot of us are already doing. With all websites, we have the ability to specifically craft the appearance of our page so that it shows up exactly how we want it in the search results. This one step can attract the eye of a discerning searcher simply because it looks coherent and it's logical. There are so many examples out there where it's just a muddled bunch of mess that if it's well written, it can really entice our searchers into our world and let them know that we are the one they have been searching for. Hallelujah. There's the heading, Web Design Hobart, your mate that does websites. We can craft the text preview. We design amazing websites with a fast turnaround time and a pain-free experience. Website Design Hobart by my WP Mate. And we can also add a nice little feature image, which is another place to embed some cheeky little metadata that can help our SEO work. And of course, with all this, it can also be good for our social media sharing. If we're going to copy this link and paste it into Facebook, this crafting can really help entice someone off the merry-go-round of social media and into our website. I bet you can't guess what the target phrase is for this website. Website design Hobart, of course. Most websites, especially those home jobbies created by your receptionist or the director's kid who knows how to use computers, just saying, completely miss the fundamentals of the SEO criteria that are used to rank our websites. This is where you can really gain ground and shoot up the ranks. The content itself must be relevant to your target phrase. There must be relevant headings, and those headings must use some HTML criteria. These are the H1, H2, H3 HTML tags that really help the search engine dial in and know that the subject matter is actually relevant throughout the whole page and correct to this search phrase. We need at least 300 words on a page, if not more. So that is gold. We also need to repeat our target phrase, web design Hobart, but not too many times. Otherwise, it can be ranking as a fake. The URL of our web address should, no, it must contain our target phrase in it. And you might be thinking, how can I get access to this criteria? Many of the tools out there, they're free and they're freely available to all of us, provide this instant feedback as we prepare our page. This might already be installed on your website. And here we can see Yoast SEO on screen now. And this is a WordPress plugin that gives us instant feedback where we're doing a good job and where we might need some improvements to increase our ranking. We also need images. And these can absolutely not be uploaded off the back of your SLR or iPhone at 8 megabytes per image. They must be formatted right down to the correct pixel size and resolution, and the file should be compressed to be as small as possible. We are talking around 100 kilobytes. In this example, 47 kilobytes. And with these images, we can actually attach some real specific metadata that helps Google determine that this is an image of a web designer in Hobart. All right, I might have started talking a different language here. And now you might also start to appreciate that web design and SEO really isn't something that should be pushed onto the receptionist. No offense. This is your most valuable marketing asset. And just like your tax accounting, or the maintenance of that tractor, you probably need to hire an expert for this. But never fear, there is one criteria point that all of us can probably action immediately. Links and backlinks. We can all link our website to other websites, and this can be like just a soft link to a client or a supplier. It could be showing off a recent project and linking to that person's project. This helps. It also helps show trust and credibility that we talked about earlier, because it shows we're part of a larger network. And importantly, we can also ask others to backlink to our website. Links show Google that our website is relevant to a larger network, which can be really important for our trust factor in their eyes. And I know, just like asking for a testimonial to be published online, this one can be tricky. However, obtaining those backlinks from other credible websites can be highly valuable to your ranking. And yeah, of course, you see this a lot with blogs. They're littered with different links off to other stuff and products. Sometimes they're internal links to their own website, which are great. But they're often links to customers or external collaborators. So for you, this could be very simply some logos with some links embedded in them to show some of the partnerships you have, or some collaborators that you work with. And here we can see the lovely Freycinet Massage. They have some links to accommodations, some of their favorite accommodations that they visit all the time. So, those links show an added layer of trust and also help with that domain credibility, which is the whole point of linking. So finally, we come to the page design itself. Your website, your web pages, they absolutely must be built correctly. This comes down to the design, the number of elements in a page, it's the excess code, and it's things like that image compression. They all directly affect the loading speed of your page. And here we can see a quick Google assessment of my website. And this tool is available to everybody. I can show you how to use it. Performance at 90, so that's speed performance. So that's, it's in the green, it's pretty good. The more efficient, the more professional the design is, the better that loading speed will be. And in turn, that will increase your ranking. A slower loading speed is a negative factor in the Google search criteria. And with page design, we also need to be very careful using things like video or embedding third-party apps into our website. And that can be things like, a Facebook feed, because these things decrease our loading speed. They slow our website down, and that can affect our ranking. So we often put those things away from the most important pages so that it doesn't affect that ranking of our real heat seekers. Some other contributing factors to good page design and ranking include mobile-friendly design. More than 66% of all website traffic is from mobile phones. So our websites must absolutely work great on mobile. That is 2/3 of our visitors are coming on mobile, and that number is growing. And for some specific markets, that number is more like 80, 85%, especially if you're targeting a younger generation of customers. And, we've heard about this one before, but there's technical things like the little security certificate that helps with your ranking. And this is that little padlock, or the HTTPS, that appears right up next to your URL. Without it, people might simply be blocked from looking at your website. You absolutely need that SSL. All right, so maybe I've completely lost you in the techno mumble now. You might be following all that, which is great. Trust me, it's taken me years to get to this level of understanding. But there are heaps of great YouTubes out there that you can follow that break a lot of these little factors down, and they'll even guide you through step by step on how to improve a page. But let me share one little secret with you before we move on. I actually had a one-page website last year. I was being a bit lazy, didn't want to work on my own website, very busy, and like the mechanic with his old beat up car. You can picture this. I had one little tiny fishing boat, a tinny, off the Kingston boat ramp with one small fishing rod, one small hook, very average bait, fishing on the wrong tide. I was page 8 of the search results for web design Hobart, which is a very, very, very competitive space of people who know SEO. So how the hell could I give a webinar on SEO, you might be thinking? Well, after this, have a little look for Website Designer Hobart, and hopefully you should see me on page 1, up from page 8. And last time I checked, I was around about position 6. So for a new business who's only been like really fine-tuning my SEO this year, it really shows there's a lot to be gained. And I've got to thank Business South for really inviting me to do this webinar, because that really made me, go back and relearn the SEO stuff and really make sure I dialed in every aspect of my SEO. So now I have, 8 to 10 pages, 8 to 10 really sharp, smoking hot baited hooks in the water, boom, ready to go. The proof is in the pudding. So we've been talking about business model, knowing how to sell and how to sell online. We've developed our call to action, and we've crafted an excellent funnel with storytelling and engaging copywriting. We've got our customers and we're leading them towards the cash register with some subtle influence tactics and all the rest. And now our website is optimized. We should stand out above the crowd and, be aiming for that front page. But before we talk about making those improvements, let's just wrap up today with my 4 bonus tips for web design and SEO. So bonus tip number 1 is brand protection. The Australian domain admin, have recently created these very cool .au domains. They look great, they're short and catchy, I love them. Have you secured yours? For brand protection and to stop a sneaky competitor just hijacking your .au domain, I highly recommend you should buy it and maybe even consider buying the .com and .com.au domains if you haven't already for brand protection. Google Ads are especially important for new domains, brand new domains, and for new SEO work, in fact, because it can be 8 to 12 weeks potentially for your new SEO work to take effect. And ads are a great way to fill the gap and could be critical to the survival of your business, especially for a new business. They help you appear at the very top. And you can see here, I'm in position 2. I've got that little ad icon next to my URL, and that signifies that I've paid for this position. And as a side note, this presentation is in no way affiliated or endorsed by Google. Google just happens to be the #1 tool. I don't particularly ever think about Bing or the others. I think it was Ask Jeeves back in the day, but all of these techniques are basically working deep down into the other search engines as well. Let it breathe. In web design, I really like to use the full screen real estate to our best advantage. And we really should ensure our landing experience on the first page is really well thought through, because we know that 80% of our viewers might not scroll. They might just hit the back button and go look for somebody else. So that one section is super important. I also really like this idea of having one subject per screen or one section per screen, so that we can just take all of that information in without being overloaded or distracted. And using some space, some padding, some white space between the content, between each scroll, can really let our eyes breathe when we're reading. Having that white space really allows our viewers to take the content and the subject matter, take it in one bite at a time, without getting overwhelmed or overloaded with too much stimulation at one time. So let it breathe. And tip number 4 is to stay on brand. Too many websites really miss the mark on style and branding. This is often the very first experience that a customer has with your business, and it could be their only experience if the branding is off. So this is the colors, the fonts, the images, and the tone of voice. They must be consistent with your real business to build that deeper, engaging connection with customers. Too often we find websites are majorly undercooked, and they portray the image of a crappy backyard business if the branding is not up to scratch. We also see images that are just full of stock images of phony office employees who are clearly not working in Australia. And what does that say about us? Okay, side note, my website could also improve in that area. I'm still running a lot of stock images and some graphics because, quite frankly, my home office isn't that sexy and there is only one employee in my company. So, you know, I can forgive that in some cases. But likewise too, we find some very slick and sexy websites fronting these shabby, like rough operators who you really wouldn't trust in real life. And by the time you actually engage with them, you know, oh shit, you realize what you've signed up for. So keep it real with your branding, be authentic and real to yourself. You know, show the people behind the business and tell your story. It will make a difference. So I guess you might be wondering, like, how can I pull this off in my business? How can I do this with my website? It could be as simple as contacting your web designer, or you might like to just craft one new page or maybe write one new blog article using the principles that we've discussed here today. If you're unsure about SEO, perhaps you'd like to just try it and see how quickly you can improve that one target phrase by making a new page before committing to anything else. And to help you on your way, I've put together a summary of today's webinar in the form of my little self-assessment checklist. And this will allow you to have a look at your website without, spending any money or engaging anyone. You can make up your own mind before you get started. So things like, does my website have that SSL certificate, little padlock? Is it mobile friendly? Does it work really well on mobile devices? Do I have a strong call to action? And are there clear actions for my customers to take? Are my images compressed? Are my pages fully optimized? What does my website really say about my business? Is it a backyard jobby, slick and sleazy? Or we are real people. We are local. Hallelujah. That just about wraps it up. We'll ensure the self-assessment checklist is provided by a link in the chat shortly, and that will help you capitalize on today's workshop and develop your own opinions. Is my website baited up and ready to fish? Or do I need to go back to the drawing board? Do I need some help? Do you need more customers? Then maybe your website could be working a little harder. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Nick. There was a lot of information there, but that was really fantastic. I'll also include a link to your website checklist in the follow-up email that goes out to everyone with the replay link.
Great.
But if you're happy to, anyone who's watching, if you have any questions, please pop them in the Q&A box for me, and I'm going to now actually throw a few of those at Nick, and I've written a few questions of my own too. So Nick, the first question is there a free tool that can be used for non-WordPress websites like the Yoast SEO one that you mentioned?
Yeah, absolutely there is. With a little bit of Googling, SEO plus the name of your platform, should be able to find that at the top of the ranking list, no doubt. Yoast is one of my favorites. There are a few other ones around, but it should be very straightforward to find, and I can help you with yours afterwards if we need be.
Awesome. And the next question, if someone has already purchased your .com domain, is there a way you can get it back?
Yes, it is a tough one. There is a couple of things you can do. Someone like GoDaddy will negotiate with that person and try and come up with an agreement. That often is not very successful, and it can be very expensive. We can also find out like who owns it and when the expiry date is. So often you could just set a little calendar reminder for that expiry date, and then you could just check in every year and see if it comes up for sale. From experience to date, it's been very hard to actually secure those domains if somebody else already has them. Yes, tough question.
And the next question, are you saying the website URL should be the same or should contain the words in your primary name or search criteria?
Yeah, it's just another 1%er that helps. So often you'll see a website has a primary group of pages, but then often our SEO pages could be like sort of secondary pages that are kind of hidden from the menu system. And it's often these ones that have the longer URLs. It could be like, businesssouth.com / how to start a business in Tasmania. And then if someone starts asking that question, it can just be another 1%er that really helps your SEO criteria. They're all little optimizations. And of course, sometimes you can't hit all of them. And of course, a huge long domain name is or URL is unrealistic. So we usually like try and shorten that to the most, important 2 or 3 words.
Awesome. And do you know off the top of your head what is a good Joomla alternative for Yoast SEO? Or is that one
I
that needs to
don't,
go to Google?
I'm sorry, yeah, but it should be pretty straightforward to find that answer. Yes, being my WP mate, I am a WordPress guy. Predominantly work with WordPress and Shopify. But yeah, of course, there's a load of other platforms out there that are all great, and most of them have like a built-in SEO tool for the optimization of the previews and headings and stuff like that.
And someone else has asked, what do you think about Wix? Is it worth it, or can you suggest a better option?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I find Wix and Squarespace are quite rigid in their design capabilities. They're very sort of closed off systems that can be hard to exploit, for want of a better word. It definitely is a nice little tool and maybe a beginner level website tool that people can master themselves. It depends a little bit what direction we're taking. If we're selling products for an online store, then it's really hard to go past the power of Shopify. It might be, say $40 or $50 per month to use that platform, but that platform is very strong. It's maintained for you. It's basically includes hosting. So that $50 can be very efficient when you compare it to some other e-commerce tools. But for me, WordPress and specifically Elementor, the page builder, it really allows us to break all the tools right open and design, a beautiful theme from the ground up very quickly. So yeah, I've personally found Squarespace and Wix to be quite time consuming to use, and a little bit rigid in the way the design is framed up.
And I've just had another question. If we need help with our website, do we need to find someone who specializes in our platform, such as Wix and WordPress, or can anyone help?
Yeah, you will find designers that go across multiple tools, and especially like international people. I tend to find here in Hobart, there are different people that specialize in different tools. So often I will refer like a Webflow website to another designer, and vice versa. So it tends to be someone that's specific in that particular tool. And if in doubt, you'll probably find like a Facebook group, a large Facebook group dedicated to that, who you could find a specialist through. And also the brand names tend to have their own pool of experts, and you can kind of explore that pool and maybe find someone who you might align with. And they tend to be like foreigners who can offer like a fairly efficient level of support as well. So
Awesome. And I've got a couple of questions for you now. So the first one is there a best pixel size for images, like a sort of a standard size that people can use if they're not sure?
yeah, it's a good question. I'm finding more and more for my design that I just like to use a square image, because a square will work well on a phone, which is portrait, and a square works well on a screen, which is horizontal. And often if you use like a portrait image, it gets really crushed on a desktop screen. But of course, like on the desktop, we also like to have these big full screen experiences where we need that, large landscape format image. So it's also common to have one image for desktop and then like a hidden image that appears on mobile. I guess if I was to say off the top of my head, I would say it should be 72 pixels per inch or whatever it is, DPI. Most cameras are running at 300, which is for printing quality, and a computer screen only runs at 72 DPI. And then I would say might be 1700 pixels by 1133 for like a big landscape feature. it might be 1,000 by 1,000 pixels for like a large square feature. And then we're often just using around like 450 by 450 pixels just for a small bit of content mid-page, so a smaller image.
Awesome.
I can write
Thank
that
you.
into the chat as well.
That's okay. I got that down.
Cool.
I can include that in the email. And last question, you showed us the website performance tool that you used on your website. Can you share with us the URL for that one, or how we can access that ourselves?
Yeah, let's see if we can do a little test run here. I'll just share a screen again. And I should.
Oh, you're on mute, Nick.
Oh, I don't know what happened there. We are here looking at my website, the web design and SEO checklist. And of course, I've thrown in a cheeky little sign up box there so I can harass you with spam down the road. But in order to do a speed test of your own website, we need Google Chrome, which is the Google web browser. Chrome is fantastic. If you're not a convert already, just download it and use it. It's so good. There are some tricks with Chrome that I can show you, but basically we're going to right click and inspect, and that brings up the developer tools. In the toolbar of items up here, we have a little set of arrows, and we're looking for Lighthouse. The Lighthouse tool is the one that we're using, and then we can basically
we can't actually see what you're talking about there.
Yeah, let me just fix that up for a second. Yes, so after we right click and inspect our page with Chrome, we have these these little arrows, and we look for Lighthouse. We can run a test either desktop or mobile and hit analyze the page load. That is probably crunching some serious bandwidth right now, so it may or may not work, but within a minute or so that will produce a report. And the report gives you a whole heap of insights into why the page might not be performing correctly. This particular page is just like a very quick secondary page, so I don't really expect any amazing results, but yeah, we can see some criteria here. And then down below in the list, we can see what's going on, and we can analyze some reasons why the page might be loading slowly, or delve into some more technical SEO stuff. Yeah, this page has minimal content on it, so it doesn't surprise me that it's a little bit down. Yeah, and
Awesome.
one other little tip for Google Chrome and for research when it comes to SEO is that if we search in a private window or incognito, which is this kind of private search window for Chrome, it allows us to do a Google search as if we are a fresh viewer who has no cache stored on their computer. And it takes away all that kind of memory of our previous search history and gives us results as a fresh viewer. So yeah, we can see we've done my little test search there. And probably because I've been checking this one so much, I'm actually appearing like a little bit higher on my own computer than I am for a fresh visitor. So incognito or private browsing is the best way to do your SEO research, so that it eliminates any history.
Awesome. Well, thank you
Yes.
so much for your time, Nick. Really appreciate your time and expertise.
Thank you. I should also say that I'm not the guru on SEO. I'm just another web designer who has, a bit of knowledge, and welcome any feedback or any discussion on areas that we could look into more, because of course there's always stuff changing. Web design is getting more innovative, and I also am searching for improvement all the time. So don't be afraid to critique anything I've said here today. It's only my formation of principles that I believe work for local business web design. So
fantastic. Well, we've gone a bit over time, so we'll end the webinar there. But again, thank you so much. And I apologise that we started late, or that there was an issue with the link for those that were actually able to join us. But as I mentioned before, I will send out an email a bit later this afternoon with a link to the replay, and also some of the things that we've spoken about, some of the questions, and also to the self checklist that Nick has provided. So thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks again, and thank you for joining.